Hello everyone, welcome back once again. In this video we look at a client-server WebSockets application in C# and ASP.NET Core using the Visual Studio 2019. But before we get started, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't. So let's get to it then. So WebSocket provides full duplex communication channel between a client endpoint and a service endpoint over a single TCP connection. So enough for all of that. So to actually get started, obviously, as you can see, you're going to have you need the Visual Studio 2019 installed and the .NET Core Workloads as well. So once you've got that bit sorted out, then you open the Visual Studio 2019 and then create a new project. Yeah, so here, actually what I'm going to do, I've actually got a blank solution created, so I'm just going to click on the solution and add a new project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add so here we're going to select the ASP.NET Core empty. So we select the blank project, we click on the next. So here we can actually configure the project details. So we could just call it ws.server, just say websocket.server. So we click on the next. So here we can actually configure the project details. So here what we do is we just gonna uncheck the configure for HTTPS, and then we're just gonna leave the rest as it is. So we click on the create, and it should take a while. So I'm just gonna pause the video. So as you can see here now, we've actually got a project created. Not to waste too much time, we're just gonna jump in straight away. So if you're familiar with ASP.NET Core project, then I don't have to explain anything. We just have to click on the startup.cs, yeah? And this is what we're actually going to put inside the startup.cs. We're going to scroll down. So right after the app.use routing, you see app.endpoint, use this endpoint. So we're just going to remove this endpoint, right? Yeah? So we're just going to collapse this configure as well. And then this is what we're going to do. We're going to add a new method. And this will be a private async task. And we're going to call this send. So this method will take in HTTP contest. So this will be the contest. And then it will also take in the WebSocket. Yeah. So the WebSocket, this should be under the system.net. So we reference that system.net.websocket, yeah. So we're just gonna call this WebSocket as well. Yeah, so this is the method that we create for now. So we come inside the configure. So right after the app.use routing, this is what we're going to do. First, we start a variable, and this variable, we're going to call it WS options for WebSockets options, yeah? And this will be equal to a new WebSocket options. So this is what we actually put there. So keep alive interval. We set that one to time span from seconds. So are we just gonna set that to 120 seconds, yeah? And then app.use WebSockets. So inside, we're just gonna put the WS options. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do for now. So the next part is app.use method. So here, we're gonna put this async So we're going to put first the contest and the next so this is what we're going to put inside here. So we check if the contest dot request dot path is equal to or contains some / send. This is what we're going to do. We're going to check if the contest dot websockets dot is a WebSocket request. So we check if it's also a WebSocket request. And then this is what we're going to do. We use the using keyword and then a WebSocket. This one will be our WebSocket. This will be equal to await contest dot WebSockets dot accept WebSockets async. So this is what we're actually going to do. We're going to await the send method that we actually created. Then we're going to pass in the contest and then the WebSocket. Yeah. So now what we do is we come inside the send method that we just created. But before we do that, so right after the if the contest, this part, yeah. Right after the contest of WebSockets dot is a request. We put the else statements, yeah. So if that's not the case, then we can set the contest dot response. We set the contest response status code. So this will be HTTP status code so here we can you use system.net dot bad request. So if the request is not, obviously if it's not a WebSocket request, then we actually return a bad request, right? So we come back to the send method, right? So here, this is what we're going to do. We initialize a variable, a buffer. So we set that to a byte array, which will be 1024 by 4. Then the next is we set a WebSocket receive resource. This will be our resource. It will be equal to await the WebSocket dot receive async. Yeah. So in here, this is where you're going to put a new array segment. Takes in the bytes and then our buffer. Then we put our system dot threading dot cancellation token dot none. Yeah. So that's all we're gonna put for here now. So next is we actually check if the result isn't null. The result isn't empty. If that isn't the case, then we use this while loop. So it will be results dot close status dot has value. So if this is the case, if this isn't the case actually, then we set this variable string msg for message will be equal to encoding. So this will be system.test, I suppose. Yeah, encoding.utf8 dot get string. So this will be a new array segment. Byte. This will actually take our buffer. And then the offset 0, then our resource dot count. Yeah. Okay, so there's one mistake here. Remove this bracket and then we close it here. Yeah. Okay, so now we could actually say console.writeLine. The client says that we can actually print out the message. So what we do next is actually await WebSocket dot send async. So here, this is what we're going to do. We're going to send a message to the client, back with the response to the client. So this is what we're going to do. We set a new array segment. So here, in here, this is what we're going to do. Encoding dot utf8 dot get bytes. So we're going to convert this test. So we're going to say that the server says, so this is just a message from the server. So we're just gonna put a daytime here. That's all we're gonna do for here now. So here, after this, we come inside here, then we put the results dot message type, and then results dot end message, and then system dot threading dot cancellation token dot none. Yeah, so that's all we're gonna put for here now. As you can see, it's not very difficult. So what we do next is we set the results to await WebSocket dot receive. So this is what we're going to receive from the client. From the client. It's a new array segment. So this will be our buffer, and then our cancellation token. So system.threading.cancellation token.none. Yeah. So as you can see here, it's not very difficult. So we could say console.writeLine results. We're just gonna comment on this bit for now. Yeah. So the last part is right after the if the results isn't, it's not null. This is what we're going to await. WebSocket dot close async. So this is what we're going to pass in results dot close status dot hash value result dot close status description, then system dot threading dot cancellation token dot none. Yeah, so this is all we're going to do here for the service now. Yeah, dot value instead, not hash value, dot value instead. Yeah, then so now as you can see here now, it's not very difficult. So this is how we can run it. Yeah, we can either run it on ISS Express or we just run it as an executable. So we F5. So now, as you can see, we've actually got the web service running now. Yeah, or our WebSocket service running now. So the next part is obviously we actually create the client. So we stop it from running, right click on the solution, and then add new project. So here we add a new console app, right? Click OK. So we could just say ws.client. It's not necessarily important, but obviously let's do it that way. So what we do is inside this console, inside our client, we right click it and then manage NuGet package. So we actually browse and we're going to click on the web, type WebSockets, yeah? So we add the system.net.websocket.client, yeah? So we add all these dependencies and we accept all the licenses and stuff. So as you can see here now, we've got it installed, so we can close the NuGet package now and just start. So here, instead of the hello world, we're just gonna type press enter to continue. So we put console.readline. So this is what we're going to do next, obviously. We're gonna start with the using keyword and then a client WebSocket. A client WebSocket. So we just check it here. So it's inside the system.net.websocket, the one that we've actually just created. Yeah. So as you can see here now, we've got it referenced. So we're just gonna call this one a client. It will be equal to the new instance of the client WebSocket. Yeah. Then we have a variable or URI. So we're just gonna call this service URI. So this will be a new URI. So inside here, this is what we're actually going to put in. WS colon 2 forward slashes localhost colon 5000 colon and then the send. In this I will explain later. If we look at the startup.cs, we actually specified it here. So we'll be actually tracking this send. So once we've got this bit sorted out, the next is obviously we initialize a new variable, and this one we call it CTS. This will be a cancellation token source. Yeah, this will be a new cancellation token source. So we look at it here, and this should be under system.threading. Yeah, so you see the error gone now. So the next part is we say, yeah, CTS cts dot cancel after. So we set that to the time span dot from seconds. So we set that to 120 seconds, yeah? Then we put the rest inside the try catch block. So the exception will be a WebSocket exception. So we're just gonna print out any error or any unforeseen circumstances that actually pops out. Yeah, so we're just gonna print the message. So inside the try block, yeah, this is what we're actually going to do. We await the clients dot connect async. So we await the connection. Yeah, so we put our service URI and our token. So cts dot token. So one thing we have to do is, instead of the main method, yeah, we change it to task. Yeah, instead of to use task, yeah, instead of the void. So it's going to be static async task, yeah. So now we can await the service.connect async, yeah. So what we do next is we put a variable n for a number. We're just gonna initialize that to 0, and then right after it we start this loop, yeah. So while client dot state is WebSocket state dot open. So and then we're just gonna leave it here like that. So what we do is, after this, yeah, is we're just gonna put a console.writeLine and say enter message to send. So we say string message is equal to console.readline. Yeah, so now we've got the message. So we just check if the variable message actually contains something, a test. So if that's actually the case, then this is what we're going to do. We start with an array segment variable, array segments, bytes, and we're gonna call this byte to send, and this will be equal to new array segments. So here, this is what we're going to do. So here, inside here, this is what we're going to do. Encoding, we're going to put the encoding. Encoding, which is under system.test .utf.get bytes. So here we put in the message. So we're going to convert the message into bytes. Then we await our client.send. So we actually send it to the server. So byte to send, and then WebSocket message type. So this test, we're going to send it as test. and then true, and then our CTS, our token. So this is what we're going to do next. We start with this variable. This will be our response buffer. This will be a new byte array that we initialize it with 1024, and then a variable, our offset variable, we set that to 0, and then our variable, so this will be our packet size. We're just going to name it just a packet, so we're just going to also set that one to 1024, and then we put inside a while loop here. So while true, so this is what we're actually going to do next. So first, set this variable array segment byte. So this will be our byte to receive. Received. This will be a new array segment. So this is what we're going to put inside. So the response buffer, the offset, and then our packet. So WebSocket receive resource. This will be our response. This will be equal to await client dot receive async. So this will be our byte received, and then our CTS dot token, and then our variable. This will be our response message. So this will be the incoming message from the service. So this will be an encoding dot utf8 dot get string. So our response buffer, our offset, and then our response dot count. So we can write it here, our response message here, and then we can check if response dot end message. So if the incoming response is end message, then we can break the loop. So as you can see, it's not very difficult. So I'm just going to run it to see what actually comes out of it, right? So after all of this, yeah, inside this using and stuff, yeah, I'm just gonna put a console dot read line here, obviously to prevent it from closing. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do is to just right click on the solution, and then set to start projects. Yeah, so here we set that to multiple, and then we actually push the server forward to start first. Then we set this part here, start tier, and then the start tier. So we apply the changes, and then we F5 or click here. So as you can see, we've got this big change to multiple projects. So as you can see here now, we've actually got the service started, and then if we press enter here, we should get the connection established. So if we say hello here, let's see what we send hello here. So as you can see here, we've got the service, the message received by the service, And then as you can see here now, we've got the server replied. So as you can see, it's not very difficult, but obviously this actually took a while though, but I hope you got the whole thing and you can explore this further yourself. So once again, I'm just gonna leave the video here. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do, because I've got lots of videos coming up. And I hope you have a lovely morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Bless and peace. Bye bye.